HSBC just got away with buying a cocaine plane. Really? This over at the Daily Beast? This is an amazing story. Let's check in with America's lawyer, Mike Papantonio, host of Ring of Fire Radio, ringofireradio.com, and one of the finest lawyers in the country. Hey, Pap.
Tom, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us. You've got some inside skinny on this HSBC thing?
Yeah, well, the drug plane is just a small part of it, but now we know what we've suspected all along. Yeah, Tom, the HSBC story is critically important for many reasons.
May I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, of course.
Just for our viewers or listeners who may not know what we're talking about, HSBC is, I think they're the biggest bank in the world, aren't they?
They are.
Or is it? Yeah, and it's a Swiss-based bank, but they do business in the United States. Okay, back to you.
Yeah, but they're one of many banks that are engaged in this same type of thing that I'm going to describe. But one reason this is an important story is Loretta Lynch, the woman Obama nominated for AG, was involved in giving HSBC a free pass for laundering money for drug cartels and for engineering treasonous illegal deals with both Iran and North Korea. She was the one that her name was on the charges. Another Eric Holder appointment, Lanny Brewer, who you might remember, was also involved in proclaiming that HSBC would not be prosecuted and instead they'd only pay a fine for conduct. Tom, it would have put the average American in prison for life.
Lanny was an old Clinton guy, wasn't he?
Worse than that. Yeah. The answer is yes, but let me tie it up even more. Lanny, you'll recall, was a Covington Burling lawyer. Covington Burling is a silk-stocking Washington, D.C. law firm that has been, they handle all the Wall Street mega thugs. Lanny Brewer and Covington Burling firm gave 5 Wall Street mega banks a free pass for crimes that involve fraud, treason, money laundering, inside trading, price fixing, antitrust, theft, and even in more RICO events, Tom, than we could possibly cover in this short interview. No executives went to any of that for any reason. First, Covington Burling included Holder, and then Brewer, and then several other Covington Burling types that were deep-seated in the Department of Justice. And so their business is handling white-collar criminal cases. That's before Eric Holder was ever appointed. Huge amounts of money. If you add to this whole thing of why does all this happen, how does a bank like HSBC involved in laundering money for drug cartels, buying boats and airplanes that are used to transport drugs, how do they get away with it? Well, here's how it works out. Huge amounts of money have been given to Democratic political campaigns, including Obama's. And a huge amount of money goes all the way back to Bill Clinton, where all this love affair with Wall Street began. So in that love affair, all these Wall Street white-collar banking gangsters got such a free pass because during those Clinton years, Wall Street has methodically packed the SEC and the Justice Department with industry hacks that they could count on to hand out get-out-of-jail passes to banking mobsters. So HSBC is an important story, don't get me wrong, but it's only one small part of the big story. This story, understand, Tom, the DOJ has known about these crimes of HSBC for 5 years. And they took no action. What happened was you had an IT guy working for the bank that had all of the numbers, had everything about where all the bones were buried. He handed it to the French investigators. French investigators gave it to the United States 5 years ago. DOJ took no action, even though they had already placed HSBC in a deferred prosecution status, which means that nobody goes to jail, they pay some fines, but they keep all their pals out of prison.
Is this also the case where the guy who was the whistleblower was the one who ended up going to jail?
Well, this guy did not go to jail.
Or was that UBS?
UBS and a couple of other very similar stories. But this guy had all of the information. They threatened to prosecute him. I think the only reason he got out of my memory of it, I don't remember that part of the story in detail, Tom, but I can. What's important about the story is the United States was given notice of all this, But let me give you a contrast, Tom. Let me tell you how aggressively, while they were letting these thugs, these HSBC thugs get away, what they were doing to little people. 2 car dealers who accepted drug dealer money to buy automobiles went to prison for 50 months, 50 serious prison months. 2 New Jersey businessmen lured into an HSBC tax scheme, to prison for that guy. A Virginia doctor who put his deceased mother, he put a little bit of money in an HSBC Swiss account, off to jail for that guy. Mississippi woman sentenced to 60 months in prison for laundering illegal money in her trucking business. 60 months for I mean, we're talking about fractions of money. Truck driver sentenced to 50 months for taking $1 million across the Mexico line, but HSBC hid and laundered billions of dollars in cash for drug cartels and terrorists. And Loretta Lynch and the Covington Burling team, led by Lanny Brewer, who worked for Holder, decided that there's no crime too big for banksters where we actually name individual names and put these criminals in prison. This is an epidemic in the United States, and unfortunately it's having an effect on the way we view criminal law in this country from top to bottom. You know, you'll put somebody in jail for stealing a Hostess Twinkie from a corner store, but where it comes to the person running that corner store who's stealing money from that employee by hustling them on time and, you know, skating time here and skating time there and making $1 here and $1 there off that time clock, we don't do anything about that. It's just a priority issue that's upside down right now, Tom.
Well, I've read several articles recently, and I think there's a couple of books out about this, about how the origins of policing, and that really policing began as these were the thugs who defended the interests of the rich people against the local community or against, you know, the poor. And you know, there's a piece on Huffington Post today about what do you do if the police stop you and you have money in your car or in your pocket, and they can just take it, you know, and it's like, so you go to there was this guy who had $11,000 in his pocket because he literally took it out of the bank to go buy a car to make a down payment, and they stopped him and they took away his money. He never got it. It's like, so if you're a little guy, they steal your money. If you're a rich guy and you're doing it with the banksters, it's all good.
Tom, I don't know how you characterize this as anything but third world banana republic quality justice system. I don't. Please help me with that, because I can't understand
we have a 2-tier justice system. One for the rich, the powerful, and the politically well connected, and one for everybody else.
Well, for example, I mean, you know, we have a toothless enforcement system because at the top, now the toothless enforcement system at the top is set up to be like that. The aggressive, black boot system at the bottom, where we shoot kids in the street because they talk back to a police officer, kill them because we think they have a gun when they have, you know, a toy gun. All the stories we've seen over the last month. It's this. This system is so distinct that if we don't get it under control, how are we any different than Pinochet's Chile? How are we any different from any banana republic third world country? I don't see how we're different.
Yeah, I'm with you. In fact, I'd be inclined to say we have a 3-tiered criminal justice system. The third tier is if you're a person of color being prosecuted. It's bizarre. America's Lawyer, Mike Papantonio, host of Ring of Fire Radio, ringofireradio.com. Thank you, Pap.
Thank you, Tom.